I want to start today with a little mental audit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question that feels a bit superficial at first, but it gets kind of uncomfortable the longer you sit with it.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's hear it.
I want you to just, mentally calculate the square footage of your face, just that area. Now think about all the time, the money, the research, the serums, the toners, the SPF you put on that specific patch of skin every single day. You've probably got a number in your head.
Oh, yeah. For anyone even remotely into wellness, that number it's usually pretty high. We treat our facial skin like this precious thing.
An investment.
An investment. Now, just go up 2 inches, right over the hairline. How much time do you spend on the skin of your scalp?
Oh.
And I don't mean just washing your hair. I mean the skin itself.
If we're being honest, probably 0. Maybe. Maybe negative time if you count all the heat damage we blast it with.
That is the massive disconnect we're exploring today. We are doing a deep dive into a concept that's biologically obvious, but, culturally, we just ignore it. And the phrase is simple. Scalp is skin. It sounds so simple, like a slogan, but there's a lot of biological weight to that. The source material we're looking at today, it's a really great breakdown by the creator, Sue. She basically argues your face doesn't stop at your hairline.
It just keeps going.
It just keeps going, structurally.
And she makes a really bold claim about that connection. It's not just about having, shiny hair, is it?
No, not at all. And this is where it gets really interesting for all the skincare fanatics out there who might not care that much about hair trends.
Right.
Sue argues that if you want a lifted face, if you're worried about gravity and your jawline or your eyes, you are just wasting your time if you're ignoring your scalp.
So you can't have a tight face attached to a loose scalp.
You can't. That was the big aha moment for me in this, too. We think of the scalp as this, separate thing. Like a garden bed for hair?
Yeah, totally separate. But structurally, it's the anchor for the face.
Okay, but help me with the mechanics there. How does a loose scalp actually droop the face? Okay, think about it like this. Imagine you're wearing a super tight swimming cap. When you pull it on, everything on your face kind of lifts up, right? Your brows, your cheeks.
Right, that instant facelift effect.
Exactly. Now imagine that cap just loses all its elasticity. It gets loose, it starts to sag. Everything that's attached to it is going to sag too.
Oh, that's a good visual.
And she brings this up pretty aggressively. She mentions in some of her other content that she's talked about using tools like a gua sha on the scalp.
Which, by the way, hurts if you're tense. I've tried it, and it's like ironing out a knot in your head.
Well, that pain is a sign, right? It's a sign of tension, of poor circulation. So she argues that just stimulating the scalp can help with facial lifting. It's actually a preventative anti-aging measure for your face.
So if you're obsessed with retinol and peptides for your crow's feet, but your scalp is just, aging and losing elasticity, you're basically fighting a losing battle.
That's the implication, yeah. You're fixing the paint while the whole wall is crumbling.
Okay, that scares me enough to pay attention. Let's look at the solution she gets into. She centers this whole review around a regimen from a French brand, René Furterer. Now, I see French pharmacy, and I think, chic, but is there actual substance there?
Well, it's not just luxury in that gold packaging kind of way. We're talking French pharmacy culture, which is, it's a very specific thing. This isn't a brand that just popped up on TikTok last week.
Right.
This is a company with 68 years of research behind it.
68? Wow. That means they were studying scalp biology before most modern skincare ingredients were even a thing.
Exactly. And our source, Sue, points out that in France, where these brands are held to a really high standard, this brand has had the #1 scalp ampoule for 20 consecutive years.
20 years. That's 2 decades of just dominance.
Yeah.
That context is really important because she's not just trying some random product. She's testing a heavyweight. A legend, really.
And she's specifically testing whether you can replicate that professional head spa experience.
Which are huge right now in Korea and Japan.
Huge. But can you do it in your own bathroom? So the mission today is to break down this regimen. We're going to look at the heavy lifter, an ampoule with some very weird packaging, and then a daily driver serum. And the results she saw, not just on herself, but on her husband.
Yes, the husband anecdote is a great little case study.
It really is. It tests whether these at-home things can actually compete with, real biological hair thinning.
Okay, let's get into the heavy artillery first.
Yeah.
The Triphasic Pro Ampoule. This is the one with that 20-year reputation. But looking at the notes, it doesn't look like a normal hair product. She describes a 3-layer formula. What is that?
This is where that pharmaceutical vibe really comes through. If you hold the bottle up, you can
Right.
see 3 totally distinct layers sitting on top of each other. You have an oil phase, an aqua or water phase, and then this is the weird part, a powder.
Wait, a powder, just flowing in the liquid.
No, and this is the key to the whole thing. The powder isn't in the liquid yet. It's stored separately in the cap.
Oh, I see. So it's mechanically separated.
Yeah. Correct. And the source breaks down the usage, and it's like a whole ritual. You have to twist the cap all the way down. And that motion physically releases the powder from a little reservoir into the liquid below. Then you have to shake it right away to mix it all up.
I have to ask the skeptic's question here. Why? Why go through all that engineering? Why not just sell it pre-mixed? It would be cheaper, I'm sure. Is it just for show?
It's not theater, it's chemistry. This gets at a huge issue in skincare and pharmaceutical formulation, which is stability.
Oh, like how vitamin C serums go all brown and useless if they sit out too long.
Exactly like that. A lot of potent active ingredients, especially plant extracts, peptides, they start to degrade the second they touch water or oxygen. They oxidize. By keeping that power separate until the literal moment you're about to use it, you're getting 100% potency.
So every single time you use a bottle, you're creating a fresh batch.
Yes. It's the difference between, freshly squeezed orange juice and the stuff from a carton that's been sitting there for 6 months. The biological activity is at its absolute peak right when it hits your scalp.
I do love that. It makes you feel like a little chemist in your own bathroom. Stand back. I'm activated the formula.
It definitely adds to the psychological effect that this is a treatment, not just some cosmetic product. You're part of the process.
So once we've twisted and shaken this thing, what is it actually supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Because Sue throws out some pretty specific numbers.
She does. She quotes data saying that 83% of users saw an improvement in hair loss that was specifically due to breakage.
Okay, I want to pause on breakage. That's different from shedding, right?
It is, and people mix them up all the time. Shedding is from the root. The hair just falls out of the follicle. Breakage is when the hair itself snaps mid-shaft because it's weak.
Right.
But here's the nuance. Usually we treat breakage with, like, a conditioner to coat the hair. This product is claiming to strengthen the anchor and the hair's structure as it grows.
And she also mentioned a 92% satisfaction rate for hair strengthening.
Right. So the claim is, by nourishing the scalp and the root with this fresh, potent mix, the hair that grows out is just structurally more resilient. You're not just patching up damage, you're building a better hair factory.
Okay, so how do you apply it? Because if I'm spending money on this fancy French Ampoule, I do not want to waste it on my split ends.
Critical point. And Sue is very clear about the protocol. You use this after shampooing on towel-dried hair. So damp, not soaking.
Got it. So the scalp is accessible.
And you apply it section by section directly to the skin. You got to get past the hair. The goal is to saturate the scalp, not the hair strands.
And the big warning she gave, do not
Rinse, do not rinse.
Yeah.
It's a leave-in. You massage it in and let it absorb. If you wash it out, you've just washed your money right down the drain.
Right. Now, this is where her review goes from, technical to practical. She didn't just use this on herself. She brought in a test subject.
Her husband.
Her husband.
Yeah.
And I think this is so important because men often have really different hair concerns.
I loved this part of the source material. It just grounded the whole scientific discussion in reality. She talks about noticing her husband's hair was thinning.
It's that moment of panic, right? She mentions seeing the crown of his head and realizing that the gap was getting wider. You could see more scalp.
Yeah. And it's such a sensitive subject for men, but one they often ignore until it's, kind of too late. She says he'd been stressed, his hair was getting thinner, he was losing confidence. It wasn't just vanity.
No, it was affecting how he felt. So she gives him this Ampoule regimen. And what happened?
He actually used it, which, as she says, is a miracle in itself. Because a lot of men are so resistant to any kind of multi-step routine.
She had that funny line about how men find even putting on sunscreen annoying.
Right. But the fact that he stuck with it suggests something important. The user experience wasn't terrible, and he probably saw results fast enough to keep going.
So what were the results? Did the gap close?
She reports that after using it for a while, he told her his hair felt genuinely strengthened.
Strengthened. That's a really interesting word. Not just more hair, but that the hair he had felt different.
It implies density, right? When hair is thin and weak, it's limp. It feels like nothing. When it's strong, it has body. It covers the scalp better. The fact that he noticed a structural change really speaks to the efficacy of that formula.
That's a pretty compelling endorsement. If it can convince a skincare-averse husband to stick with it, it's probably doing something you can see.
Exactly. It moves the product from the pampering category to functional repair.
But let's be realistic about the schedule. This Ampoule, it's intense. You're not doing the whole twist cap shake routine every morning before work, right?
No, of course not. That Ampoule is your heavy lifter. You do that once, maybe twice a week. It's like your big Sunday reset. But then Sue introduces a second product for the daily grind.
The Triphasic anti-aging serum.
This is what she calls the daily driver. If the Ampoule is your deep treatment, this serum is your daily multivitamin.
So how does it differ, besides not having the cool powder trick?
Well, first off, the source notes that this specific formula is optimized for Asian scalps and hair.
That's a specific distinction. What does that usually mean in the beauty world?
Well, Asian hair strands tend to be thicker, more cylindrical, but scalp density can vary, and there's often a big focus on oil balance and humidity. So a formula optimized for that is usually targeting density and texture, making sure it's light enough not to weigh the hair down.
And light enough is the key phrase there, because honestly, the idea of spraying a serum on my roots every morning, it terrifies me. I'm just picturing a grease pit by noon.
That is the #1 barrier to scalp care, the fear of the greasy root. Sue addresses this head on. She is emphatic that the finish is non-sticky, leaves zero residue.
She used the words fresh and cooling, didn't she?
Yes. And that cooling sensation is actually functional. A hot, inflamed scalp can contribute to hair loss, so cooling it down helps regulate that environment.
So it feels more like a tonic.
Exactly. And because it works on both wet and dry scalps, it's really versatile. You can use it right out of the shower, or you can use it on dry hair the next morning just to refresh the scalp.
That dry application is a game changer. That's for people who don't wash their hair every day. It means you can treat your scalp without having to restart the whole cycle.
Right. It lets you be consistent with the treatment without overwashing your hair, which can just dry it out anyway.
Talk to me about the application ritual for this one. She mentions massage again. Is that just to make it feel nice?
She does. You spray section by section, and then you massage it in with circular motions. And Sue makes the point that this isn't just about relaxation. It's mechanics.
Mechanics.
Yeah, massage increases blood flow to the follicles, and blood carries oxygen and nutrients. If you have a tight, tense scalp, blood flow is restricted. So the massage, combined with the serum, is basically force-feeding nutrients to the hair root.
So you're manually waking up the skin while you're applying the product.
And to go back to the very beginning, that massage is also doing the lifting work for your face. You're killing two birds with one stone, physically loosening the tension that pulls your face down.
Okay, so Sue has really laid out a complete program here. It's not just buy this product, it's a schedule. Let's just recap that really quickly.
Right, it's a whole regimen. Weekly, you use the Triphasic Pro Ampoule 1 to 2 times a week. That's your deep tissue work, your structural repair with that fresh mixed powder.
Okay.
Then daily, the anti-aging serum, morning and evening. And that's your maintenance, your hydration, your density support.
It really does mirror a facial skincare routine.
Yeah.
You got your daily moisturizer, and then you have your weekly chemical peel or your heavy mask.
That's the perfect analogy. And just like with facial skincare, consistency is the thing that really matters. You can't do it once a month and expect a miracle.
There's also a value proposition here I want to touch on. She calls it a home spa.
Yes. And this is significant. We've seen this huge boom in head spas, right? Places you go to get your scalp analyzed and scrubbed for, I don't know, hundreds of dollars.
Which are amazing, I'm sure, but who has the time or the budget for that every week?
Exactly. So Sue is arguing that with these pharmaceutical-grade products, again, backed by that 68 years of research, you're basically accessing that professional scalp lab technology at home.
It democratizes it.
Yeah.
You become the expert of your own scalp. You don't need a white coat to mix the powder.
And the payoff, as she concludes, is stronger anchors.
Ooh, I stuck on that phrase too. Stronger anchors.
It's such a good visual. If the root is held firmly by healthy, elastic, collagen-rich skin, the hair grows longer without shedding. It stands up straighter, which gives you volume. And ultimately, the face has a better support structure.
It really challenges the idea that hair care is just about the dead cells, the strands we see. It shifts the whole focus to the living cells underneath.
You can't build a great house on a crumbling foundation. You can't have great hair on a neglected scalp. It really is that simple.
So if we zoom out, we've gone through the why. The scalp is skin. It holds up your face. We've gone through the Triphasic Ampoule And the daily serum.
And we've seen it works for the beauty influencer, and it works for the skeptical husband with thinning hair.
It feels like we're at a tipping point with scalp care. 20 years ago, men using face moisturizer was seen as eccentric or extra.
Totally. Vain. Now it's just basic hygiene.
Do you think scalp care is on that same trajectory?
I absolutely do. Right now, mixing a powder into an ampoule for your scalp might feel like high-maintenance extra credit, but as we understand more about aging and how the body is all interconnected, I think in 10 years this will be as standard as brushing your teeth.
It makes you wonder what else we're ignoring. We're such visual creatures. We obsess over the front of our face because that's what we see in the mirror. But the support structures, the scalp, the back of the neck, our posture, those are what actually determine how we present to the world.
We fix the facade, but we ignore the beams holding it up.
That is the provocative thought for the day. If scalp care is the new skin care, what's the next invisible body part we need to start worrying about?
I'm almost afraid to find out.
Until then, maybe tonight when you're doing your routine, just tilt your head down, check the roots, give your head a little massage. Your face might thank you for it.
And your hair definitely will.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of French pharmacy secrets and scalp archaeology.
Keep asking questions.
See you next time.